What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm finally able to bring you an update to Red Dragon Archfiend. Now, you all saw the combo the other day that I did involving the Dragunity package as well, and the idea behind that was to give the deck what it used to be missing, which was protection from the Biru. Usually its end board is very lapsical, especially now that we don't have Baron. So the Dragunity engine is a very small 5-card engine that does have other utilities within inside the deck as well that can present you with a negate. On top of that, the engine does also draw out all of the types of hand traps while not using your normal summon or anything else. So unless your opponent knows exactly how this version of the deck runs, they will probably end up using their hand traps on the Dragunity package as you're working up. And even if that happens, you're then still able to utilize the rest of the cards in your hand and the rest of the combo in order to get you a full-on protected board. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'll also repeat the combo at the end of the video in more depth and detail just so I can talk you through it as well, so you can kind of get everything you need to all in one video. So moving on to the main deck, showing you exactly what we've got on this one. So you're starting off with your triple soul Resonator. This is your ideal normal summon of the entire deck. So this is the one that if you are new to it, on normal or special, you get to add a level 4 or lower fiend monster from the deck to the hand except itself, which is kind of really cool. However, the issue is it does lock you into special summon from the extra deck except Dark Synchros. Like if it didn't have that clause, you could probably very easily utilize this as a normal summon for pretty much any deck that could utilize stuff like Dark Beckoning Beast or even like Samsara Deloius. You bell. But either way, this is your main normal summon. It does have an additional effect as well, that if a card or cards you control would be destroyed by card effect, because keep in mind your Red Dragon Archfiend will nuke your board during your own end phase, you can actually banish this while you control a Synchro monster that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend. While you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you get to banish this card from the graveyard instead. So that does give you a bit of line of protection. Then we've got Triple Bone Archfiend. I actually really want this structure deck to get reprinted in Megatins because I'd love to see this as a foil. But Bone Archfiend again is kind of the counterpiece or the piece that works really well with the Dragunity engine. So if it is in your hand or graveyard, you get to send one other card from the hand or field to the graveyard to special summon it. And again, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Dark Dragon Synchros. You can type one face-up monster you control that has a level, send a Fiend Tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase or decrease that monster's level by 1. So again, if you've seen the combo, you see exactly how this works, but in this version, again, Bone Archfiend can be utilized whether you're going down that combo route or the original combo route as well. We've then got Triple Crimson Resonator. Now the reason we're still playing 3 of this is because if you don't open up access to the Dragunity combo, then you can still go down your Crimson combo, which basically allows you to special the Crimson Resonator, or you send the Crimson Resonator from deck to the graveyard with your Bone Archfiend. Of course, you won't be protected from the Biru, but that will really come down to the environment that you're going with. With this particular build, I've actually designed it to play no hand traps. I know, shocker, but the reason I've done that is because the majority of people at my locals are playing Tenpai. So I know more times than not I'm going to be going first. Now, when I do go first, I don't actually really want to be seeing a hand of hand traps because I don't want to be able to go, okay, cool, pass back to my opponent, and then if they do activate that field spell, half my hand traps are completely useless. So what I've designed this deck to do is be full-on combo, everything you want to do. You want to get your pieces early as you possibly can. The only card that is missing in a deck that I might consider putting in, which will change the ratio that I play Vision Resonator and Crimson Resonator at, is Pot of Desires. And what I mean by that is I'd probably consider cutting this down by 1 and this down by 1 to put in 2 Pot of Desires, just to add that consistency back into the deck. But the idea behind all of this, like I said, is you want to go wombo combo, full on aggression. Your Dragunity package will bait out all the hand traps that you could possibly imagine, and then you're going to be moving into your Resonators. So when you move into your Resonators, you can still end your board on stuff like Dispatter. So that's before you even touch on the Bystials. So technically you could consider those as hand traps, but technically I'm not playing any of the basic line of hand traps like Ash Blossom Veilers and everything else. Then, of course, Triple Vision Resonator, like I said, if you wanted to increase the consistency, you would drop this down and make this a 2, because the idea is that you're actually going to be sending it through Bone Archfiend through the original combo. But then actually hard opening this is not the end of the world, especially when you are playing the Bystials, because a Bystial plus a Vision Resonator and obviously a Light or Dark that could be banished from either graveyard gives you access to your Synchro level 8s, or if you have the access to bring back Lubellion once you've done that, you can actually go into a Synchro level 10, being your Bystial Dispatter, which is probably going to be your most interactive card for both players' turn, just because it has that more generic kind of involvement. We've then got the 1 Synchron Resonator. You can place it 2. Again, this is another one where you would adapt the ratios depending on the environment. And then if your environment doesn't play towards Bystials, and you would take the Bystials out, and what you'd be doing that is you're sacrificing additional aggression and additional board presence and extenders for more interactive hand traps. So you do need to take it with a pinch of salt and adapt it as you see fit. But the idea is, like I said, I've gone like all out aggression on this one. I've got 3 different engines. I've got the Resonators, the Bystials, and the Dragunities, all of them serving their own purposes. Bystials to be forms of interaction during both players' turn and technically add as pseudo hand traps. Then of course you've got the Dragunities, which add as hand trap bait, as well as the ability to get you into something like a Crystal Wing, which ultimately once you get to Crystal Wing, if your opponent drops a hand trap on you that isn't a Nibiru, the chances are that they're probably trying to bait out the Crystal Wing for a Nibiru, so you can technically let it go. And then you still have your board with a Crystal Wing, which is pretty difficult to deal with, and then you're still ideally ending on a hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss and of course a Bystial Dispatter. Then for the non-tuners, of course, we've got the Wandering King Wild Wind, the 1 Catalyzer, and the 1 Overloop. Like, these are just still to maintain the original combo for your Resonators and everything else. Like, you don't want to just play one combo and one combo only. This is what's really cool about this version of the deck, is it has the ability to bounce around different combo lines. So it's not just direct one combo, if that gets stopped, game over. It is, okay, one combo in the Dragunities. If I don't see that or that gets stopped, I then have a backup of the original Resonator combo, and I still have the Bystials for interaction and kind of being able to build board from there. So then moving on to the basically Resonator spells, so you've got Triple Crimson Gaia. Again, I would love to see this as a foil. I love the artwork on this one, but someone did mention to me way back when, they were like, to be fair, they don't mind commons because they still look really cool. And that was back when we got the 10 Ys, because the 10 Ys just look absolutely amazing. They look like pencil drawings. So anyway, I digress. Triple Resonator cool because you want to be able to see access to your Crimson Resonator as early as you possibly can. There are parts of the combo that you'll see at the end of the video as well, and if you saw the sort, that there are times where it's like, right, okay, well, if it interacts at this point here, it stops the combo. And it's like, yes, but if I've still got 3 more cards in my hand, if I do open up a Resonator cool, I can kind of like skip that point or add to that point and everything else. The 1 Red Zone, and then the 1 Spicy for this particular format right now is Red Screen. I would probably, if I'm going up against Tenpai, more times than not go for the Red Screen. So your opponent's monsters cannot declare an attack, and this card controllers must pay 1,000 life points during each of their end phases, which completely fine, because the idea is that you're going to flip a red screen during your opponent's turn. They're not going to be able to declare attacks, which means they can't get the free attacks they need in order to bring back the Bystial Dragon from the graveyard to pop. And because they can't declare attacks, they're not able to stack their attacks out and they're not be able to trigger their effects. So they will need to go into Black Rose Dragon to nuke the board. And when they try to go into Black Rose Dragon to nuke the board, that's when you've got your Dispatter, your Crystal Wing, and of course you've got your Red Dragon Archfiend, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend in order to negate. So you've got 3 ways to stop that happening, which is why it's very important. And then, of course, I mean, I suppose you can count this as a mini engine, double assault synchron. Like, the idea for this one, again, is just to extend past certain points. So, like, if your opponent stops you at part of your Dragunity combo and you're stuck with a level 4, you go, right, okay, cool, well, I'm going to extend by adding down an assault synchron. All I need to do is pay 700 life points, and that's going to get me where I need to go. And then you're ideally going to be able to build up on top of that. The only issue is, with assault, you won't be able to make the Gay Dogra because this one needs a Dragon Tuner. But the idea is that you're still able to extend. That can then get you into a Synchro level 6. And then you're kind of trying to want to build on from the back of that, depending on what 6s you are playing. But even then, it's more times than not, you want to be using this with stuff like your Bystial Lubellion, because this then gets you into your Bystial Dispatter. You've obviously got, if you do tribute, or if anything does get tributed, you can then use Assault to bring one back. But the idea is it's just going to be used as an extender that all you need to do is pay life points for, rather than having to control a card or a dark card or anything else specific like that. So the Bystials, triple Lubellion, 1 Magnemute, 1 Druid Swarm, 1 Balldrake, and 1 Saronir. You can change these up if you want to. Like, if you want to play more Druid Swarm instead of the Balldrake, by all means you can do. It's just having a bit of a varied option. But the idea is that Lubellion's the one you want to see as early as you can. Drop it and go. Now, the reason this is going to have a little bit more success right now is because Droll has been mainly shifted to the side. That might change, that might come back into the deck, and that's where you need to be a little bit careful. And that's when I'd probably consider swapping some of these out in order to play stuff like Cross Out, Call by the Grave, and everything else. The idea with this build, like I said before, is not to try and stop the hand traps, but is to try to play through the hand traps, which can be done because, like you've already seen, you've got the Resonators, which is your normal summon engine. You've got your Bystials, which is your graveyard extension engine, and then you have the Dragunities, which is the don't use my normal summon, get me into a negate engine. So triple Remus, 1 Legatus, 1 Baby Rock, and 1 Ravine. So technically it's a 6-card engine, but the idea is that the only one on its own which sucks is the Legatus. because this one specifically requires you to control a Dragon's Ravine or a Dragunity monster to special summon it, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Whereas with the Mist Valley Baby Rock, obviously you get this discarded by a couple of other effects. As long as you can make sure it meets its timing, because it is a when effect, you get to bring it back. The Dragon's Ravine is still going to be useful for you because you can still discard a card to then either add a level 4 or lower Dragunity from the deck to the hand or send the dragon from deck to the hand, so you get to access your Remus. That can then obviously, you can't discard it, but you'll still be able to utilize it if you need to. It can't be used for a synchro except for the synchro summon of a Dragunity monster, so keep in mind they do kind of limit themselves a little bit, but the idea is that you're trying to get certain cards into rotation. You have other ways of getting these to the graveyard, like if you open up Ravine and Remus, you still have ways to get Remus to the graveyard because that can be the discard off of the back of Ravine, and you're still able to make your plays. Obviously, they're not ideal scenarios. You do only want to see the Remus, which is why we're playing it free and then trying to bury the rest. But this is the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you will see your one-offs. How can you then adapt and still play? So now, obviously, the idea of this is not just to play the Crystal Wing. Like, Crystal Wing is the end board. That is the end goal. But the idea is, and you'll see this more in the combo again, but discard Remus. That then puts your opponent in a position of, do I ash you now or not? Okay, let's say they don't ash you on the Remus. Ravine. Do they ogre you? Do they ash you? No? Okay, let that go. We get into the Legatus. Summon down the Legatus. Summon back the Remus. Not really anything they can stop there. Go into the Gale Dogra. Gale Dogra's effect to add the Mist Valley and discard it. So they would go, okay, attempt to activate this. Do they imperm you here? And if they go, yeah, okay, cool, we'll imperm you there. Absolutely fine. You've still got a level 6 on the board. So this really isn't stopping you anywhere. So then that's when all you need to do is get a level 2 extended to the board, you summon that down, and then straight away that's your Crystal Wing. So that's where the Assault Synchron comes into play. So straight away throughout this combo, without using your normal summon, you've tempted your opponent with Ash a couple of times, you've tempted them with Ghost Ogre, and you've tempted them with Imperm. Now, obviously, if they have multiples, and what I mean by that is if they do open up multiples in order to go, right, okay, well, I can Imperm this, stop this getting there, and then as you continue to build your board, I'm then going to nib you. That happens, but it still means they've had to open up multiple hand traps in order to get there, and sometimes nib is actually being considered more for the side deck than anything else. So even if they stop this entire combo piece here, you still have 4 remaining cards in your entire hand. One of them could possibly be Bone Archfiend or access to it, and that then still allows you to continue your combo to end the board on a Bystial Dispatter plus the access to a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Not to mention that if you do have other stuff like the Bystials on there, you can add more interactions and more disruptions. Speaking of hand traps, the only other kind of counter that I have gone with it is the talents, because it's one of the ones that, again, if they do activate a hand trap like Ash Blossom, like Ghost Ogre on my combo for the Dragunities, I talents look at the hand and go, oh, that's an interesting hand trap that might stop the rest of my free cards in my hand. Let's get rid of that. And then straight away you're able to continue to build your board and you know exactly what they have and how they can interact you or stop you, and then you kind of get rid of it. So that's it for the entire main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Again, like I said, adapt it to your environment. If you feel that your environment is weaker to the beast, like not so effective against the Bystials, then of course you would max out and put your hand traps in that position there. And you kind of go, right, well, I don't want my extensions of the Bystials. I just want to be able to hand trap you to death and then build my board off the back of it. For the synchros, so I'll go with the Dragunity package first. So of course you've got the one at Gayderg, and then of course you've got the ability to, wherever it may be, I've gone past it twice, Crystal Wing. So again, you'll see in the combo, I can't repeat this enough, just so you guys are like, oh, I haven't seen the combo yet. It's at the end of the video, don't worry. But you go into the Gayderg, Gayderg then gives you the Baby Rod, discards the Baby Rod, summons it back, makes you a Crystal Wing, done all that without using your normal summon, great success. Then for the other 6s, of course, we are playing the original Red Rising, so this is just to get you the access in order to complete your combo. I'm actually glad this got a foil upgrade in the structure deck, but the idea is, again, like I said, you don't want to focus on just a Dragunity engine, because if you don't see it, you're never going to play it, and you kind of want to minimize what you're taking up, the space you're taking up on it. So you're playing the 3 Red Rising, as this is still a very viable combo route for you. We've got the 1 Cully Belt, because Dark Dragon, being able to pop a card, sometimes you can only make a 7, this can be quite useful for you. For the 8s, we've got the 1 Scarred. Could be considered to put this up to 2 if you want to, entirely up to you. 2 Red Dragon Archfiends. You will go through this very consistently, very easily, because obviously Scarred will float into the next one, and then you'll also be able to bring back Scarred and then float into the other one. So. 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, burn time, board breaking, you name it, really do like this card. Then, of course, you've got the 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, followed up by the 1 Bane. I'm not playing King Calamities, I'm not going for the turn skip, because I have played, I choose to play more 10s as a bit of an aggressive option and give you a bit more variety. So for the 10s, you've got the 1 Bystial Dispatter. You would, and probably could, very easily place at 2. I only own 1, I got rid of my second one because the prices are crazy high, and I highly expect this to definitely be reprinted in the Megatins, if not in Rarity Collection, which is due out in like week or so time. So I was like, I'll take that risk. So we've got the Bystial Despair, and then in its place for the second copy, I've gone with the one Corrupted Neversoul, and then of course I've got one Chaos Angel, because the idea is if you make this before you go into your Dragonlock plays, then you still have the ability of all your synchros being protected and the fact that it can banish as well, and they can't be destroyed by battle. The idea is you'll make this with a Bystial Lubellion plus your Vision Resonator. Now, obviously, you can't special summon down your Vision Resonator if you only have Lubellion on the board. But if you do get another Dark Dragon, so for example, if you went Lubellion, search out Magnamute, summon down Vision Resonator, and then Lubellion take away the Magnamute, get you your regained, and then just sink into a Chaos Angel, you're then protecting all of your future plays from that point on. And again, that is a combo route that you haven't even used your normal summon on. Yes, it does mean you can't special summon down the Vision Resonator later on in a turn because it is a once per turn, but the idea is you've still been able to build your board, protect it, and then basically at that point, if you've opened up with the Dragunity package as well, so literally Remus, Bone Archfiend, and Lubellion will pretty much get you that combo of a Chaos Angel, I believe it's a Chaos Angel, a Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and a Crystal Wing. So, or you swap out the Chaos Angel for a Bystial Despair. Either or. Anyway, that is it for the entire profile. Now what I'll do is I'll reset and then I'll show you the combo again, just so you can kind of see how it operates, where it works, and I'll talk you through it step by step of when you can be interacted with, just so you can get as much detail as possible. So back in a second. So this is all you need. This is your 2 cards, which is why I obviously consider playing Pot of Prosperity, because you are going first. You don't really mind or worry about the half damage. So trying to get to both these pieces can be really, really important. So that is something that I am considering, but adapt it to your own personal preference. Now, keeping in mind with the rest of the hand as well, you are going to have 3 more cards that can help you extend past this point as well. They can be Bystials and everything else, but I want to show you with the base minimum, like if these are just 3 bricks or anything else that is not that useful for you, how far can you go? And I'm going to show you the full potential of the combo, but then I'm also going to talk you through every time that you can be interacted with, and then you can see the potential of what's left if that does happen. So you're going to start off by activating the Remus. You're going to discard this. Now again, considering we're going first, so we're only really going to be worrying about hand traps. This is the first point that they can interact with you. Your opponent might be a bit skeptical, and again, keeping in mind we do play the talents as well, so if they do stop your Remus here, you can then still go with your talents, you'll still have the rest of your hand to play with, and then your Bone Archfiend will send. So it will adapt it from being a 2-card combo. This is the weakest point that you can get hit, but the idea is you can still continue to go. So this one will search you out your Dragon's Ravine. You're then going to activate your Dragon's Ravine, and this is then going to allow you to discard the Bone Archfiend in order for you to add a level 4 or lower Dragunity. So again, this is another way that can interact with you, but again, at this point, your Bone Archfiend can send the Ravine, summon itself back, and then that's how you're going to be able to send with Bone Archfiend and down. So they then still need to interact with you with multiple hand traps, and you'll still have those 3 more cards in your hand to extend. You haven't even used your normal summon. So you're going to add the Legatus, you're going to special summon down the Legatus, you'll use the effect of Remus to summon itself back. Again, probably if they've got Ghost Spell, that's another way that they can interact with you, but you'll still have your Bone Archfiend play to keep going. This is what I'm saying, you still haven't used your normal summon, you still have these 3 cards in the back row ready to go in your hand, so they can still play for it. And usually more times than not, a player is a little bit more cautious if you haven't conducted your normal summon, because that still leaves the options open for you to go a little bit further. So we're going to synchro these 2 together. You're going to go into the Durg. Durg's effect will trigger, again, another way that they can interact with you, but keeping in mind of the positions of what you've got left. Now, these 2 are completely irrelevant in the graveyard. You still have that Bone Archfiend floating around. You still have your 3 cards and your normal summon. So that's where you still have a bit more flexibility. Add the Mist Valley, destroy the Mist Valley, or discard the Mist Valley, sorry, bring it back, and then synchro these 2 into Crystal Wing. Now, at this point, you're now protected from monster effect hand traps. So if they were going to imperm you, they probably would have impermed the Durg way back when. Now, if they're playing like extra level, big brain play, and they know exactly what's coming because they've seen the Bone Archfiend, then maybe they want to imperm the Bone Archfiend when you go Bone Archfiend effect, bring it down, and they choose to imperm here, which is a bit weird because they've let you get a Crystal Wing on the board and then you still use Bone Archfiend. But again, another form of interaction. I'm just kind of trying to mind read your opponent for you so you can kind of see where this is going. But we still haven't even conducted a normal summon yet. So now we're going to activate the Bone Archfiend. We're going to send the Vision Resonator from deck to grave, trigger Vision Resonator's effect to add the Crimson Gaia. Now, obviously in this whole scenario, if they have drolled you, you're in a little bit of a sticky situation, but that's part and part of it. And again, talents, called by the grave, really depends on if your local environment, everyone is main deck and droll, then you would build the deck to counter that. I can't build this deck to counter your locals for you without knowing exactly what your local environment is like. So keep that in mind. So we're going to add the Crimson Gaia, we're going to activate the Crimson Gaia effect to add the Soul Resonator. Now again, your opponent could Ash at this particular point here, but you still have 3 unknown cards that could also be the card you're trying to search. So if they Ash it here and you just go, oh, we've already opened up Soul Resonator, fine. You're adding more baits to the line. So you're going to add the Soul Resonator, you're going to summon down the Soul Resonator, you're going to use the effect in order to add a Synchron Resonator. Again, they can interact here if they wanted to. If they do, keeping in mind that your Bone Archfiend is now a level 5, I'll just use this for visual representation. So even if they do stop this here, you won't get the Synchron Resonator, but you can still Synchro into an 8, and again, you've got everything else from this point on. The only difference at this exact point here is you've already conducted your normal summon. So you would literally just be going for a Synchro level 8 and then kind of passing from that point on. So this is another weak spot here if they wanted to imperm you, but I do feel that like only next level players that know exactly how this combo is going to play out will save their imperm for this exact point here. Like I would have expected it to be used way back when. So you're going to add the Synchron Resonator, you're then going to synchro these two together as it goes into an 8 to go into a Scarred. You're then going to special them down the Synchron Resonator, and again, like at this point here, they can't really Nibiru you unless they've gone imperm Nibiru or Nibiru imperm on the Crystal Wing. So still, you're kind of protected. You special them down the Synchron Resonator, which they can't really stop. And then you're going to synchro these two into your Hot Red. And then you're going to be able to trigger the Scarred and the Synchron Resonator. Synchron Resonator will then allow you to add the Vision back to your hand. And then, of course, your Scarred would float you into a Red Dragon Archfiend. Again, something that they couldn't really stop, depending on what they have, because you're not really... everything's kind of gone past the point of where they could stop it. So now what you do here is you'll special summon down the Vision Resonator, and then you're going to synchro these two together and go into the Dispatter. Now the only issue here is there is nothing banished for Dispatter from your side of the board. That is where you need your Bystials to start putting in some work for you in order to set up the Dispatter. Of course, that's where Pot of Prosperity comes into play and makes it more consistent, which is why it's something that I'm highly considering for the main deck. It's just something that I need to think about a little bit more, but currently the more and more I test it, the less and less of a reason I see to not play it. So that's something to note. I would probably highly advise putting it back into the deck. And like I said, I'd probably cut down a Crimson Resonator and a Vision Resonator because throughout the combos you search them or send them and do everything you need to anyway. So that's your end board, right? You've got 3 cards here ready to go. You've still got everything else you need. You've taken out 4 of the, so the only thing you've got left of your Dragunity engines that can act as bricks now will be 2 Remuses. And even then, let me just double check this. I'm pretty sure this can be summoned back. You can discard this card, add a Dragunity Intervened. If you control a Dragunity monster, you special on this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can't special on monster from the edge deck for the rest of the turn except Dragon. So technically, if you do hard open a Remus, you can normal the Remus and then bring a Remus back. Now, obviously, this is a level 2 tuner, so the issue is you can't go into anything apart from a Dragunity, and unfortunately, you can't link into anything apart from a Dragon. Technically, you go for a Dragon Link too, which would be interesting. But that's something to consider, entirely up to you. Other than that, you should have enough to do it. Like I'm saying, worst case scenario, if you draw a Remus, you're like, okay, well, I've got Remus and I've still got 3 more cards. This can very easily be like discard fodder and everything else you need to. Even then, you're now presenting your opponent with a board of an Abyss, which is really, really kind of cool for a target negation. You've then, of course, got your Crystal Wing and you've got your Bystial Dispatter, so you're in a very good position there. Not to mention anything that gets banished. Of course, if you banish any of your light or dark, you can then just bring it back. But then, of course, you want to be Prosperity to set up the negate as early as you possibly can. Anyway, hope this has been informative, giving you a bit of a breakdown of the deck. Like I said, adapt it to your environment, see how it works for you. Like, these decks can be net decked if you want to, test them out as you see fit, but you always need to put in your own personal twist to it because that's how you personalize your deck and how you want to play. Like, you know how you want to play your decks, do it that way. This is just a combo guide to give you exactly what you need to know and then give you as much justification and understanding behind the selections of cards in the deck and why they're being used, how they're being used, and everything else. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.